Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome to today's Water Cooler Chat, where we talk about all things Livepeer, whether it's orchestrating, delegating, broadcasting, developing, or transcoding. We're here to ask questions and get answers. So we have some topics ahead of us, and I'm going to jump right into the first one, which is about the Livepeer Innovators DAO. So just a quick announcement. We have successfully voted and passed our inaugural vote, which is voting in our initial members as well as the light paper and forming the DAO officially. So big congratulations for the members in there. So a couple of housekeeping items as we get moving forward now. The first one is we actually have a new member that was trying to join, has sent in their application. So this person probably just missed the deadline by a day or two for the initial vote. So we get the honor of voting in a first member after the DAO has been created. So I'm just trying to figure out how to do that. I'm wondering if I should just put all the details in the actual vote and snapshot and just everyone votes on that individual member, or if we do like a batch vote in where like maybe we do it in a forum post and then vote on that forum post. Does anyone have any ideas on the best way to do that, or is it just kind of par for the course, do whatever's easy?
Forum post sounds a little informal to me, but I'm good with it either way.
Okay, so because I originally did actually create the vote and put all the details of the application into the actual vote. So like the title was new member vote, and then it was like, the person's nickname, their ETH address, and all the answers they gave to all the forum posts, all the forum questions, which gives you a good outline of like who this person is and why they're applying. And I just did it in there. Would that be appropriate, you think? And everyone just votes on that one on-chain item, and it goes from there.
I'm a little confused at what you said. Where'd you put all that?
I was just gonna put it on snapshot.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying you put it in the forum, and I was like, I don't see it in here. That seems to make sense to me. Obviously, I'm one person here, so open to other ideas or like to hear other people's thoughts.
Well, what I'll do is it's really easy for me to do it, and it's also easy for everyone else to do it because like if we reference a forum post, then not everyone has a forum account and things like this. So I think this is actually a more is proper in the sense. So yeah, I would say that I'll just put it forward right now. Voting period now. Publish, single, accept, reject. Yeah, let's just see how it goes. Anyway, so we just have a new member that wants to join, which is actually right here. Perfect. So I will put it into the side chat of the actual vote itself. Let's go with snapshot. We can leave comments also, I believe. There you go. G2 says, let's just go with snapshot. So if you are in the DAO, please just click on snapshot right here, and you'll see details. It's a bit wordy, but like you can read through it, all the answers to the questions, and we can just vote this person in or not, depending on the results. So it'll be, we'll see how it goes. And the actual member is
Did you
go ahead.
did you literally just push that right now? Because I was looking a minute ago, I didn't see it, but maybe I don't.
I literally just pushed it as I was saying it. Just
Oh,
now.
okay. Because I was like, I really don't know how to navigate this thing. Okay, now
I
it
need
makes sense.
to connect with the wallet that got approved to be in the DAO, right?
Yes.
Okay. What the hell wallet was that? Goddamn. Oh man.
I could tell you.
Can you?
It should. It's also
No,
on.
no, make him figure it out. Make him figure it out.
It's
We won't
also
vote.
on
no.
the list. Like if you go to settings and go to members, like that's all the wallets. That's all the addresses in the DAO. So like, you could figure out which one was yours just by maybe looking at the 3 last digits. Or
Where is that?
So under snapshot,
Yeah.
you just go under the Livepeer Innovators DAO page. On the left, this is settings. Like it says proposals, about, and settings.
Right. But where is the Livepeer Innovators DAO? I need to search for it.
Here.
There, I got it.
Funny enough, if you are logged in with the correct wallet, it'll show up on the left automatically because you're in the DAO.
Oh, there you go. Okay. Jeez.
So you can actually filter. You can start just selecting different wallets and see if it pops up on the left. But anyway, yeah.
Am I not in this? I thought I was in it.
Yeah, I
I know I applied. Was I rejected?
No, I will let you figure it out, and if you need help, just DM me, and I'll tell you what address you applied with.
Okay.
But yeah, so there we got a vote in for Frank to join the DAO. Obviously, Frank is well deserving, I think, my opinion, of being in the DAO. So, but this will be the first vote we have after the DAO is live. So, yeah, please vote. And then that being said, this week we'll probably be working on the forum for people to do submissions onto the website. I've been working on other things, so I haven't been able to spend much time on building the website. But Chase will be helping, and we'll probably have that up and going this week, I think. So yeah, that's the update for the DAO. And anyone else have any comments, questions, or concerns about the DAO? Cool. All right, let's move on to the topics of this water cooler chat. So the first one being, actually, Brad brought it up, which is changes to Go-Livepeer. Livepeer has, I don't know, Brad, do you want to tell us what you saw? I believe Mike had a similar topic, but do you want to start us off with what you read and maybe some implications around it?
Sure. So there was two changes. One was a change of the scaling method, still using the GPU, but it's a different way. And I think that's what's driving the 8 to 10% slower, possibly. Because I think that's the only thing that's really implemented right now. And the other change is they improved quality. Well, let me back up a little bit. They also, I think, moved down to slow as the preset on the transcoding. It might have been a medium or the default before, and that's also attributing to the slightly slower transcoding. But the other thing that I'm not sure how much it impacts it is they've added a quality parameter, which is basically CRF or constant quality, and it can be from anything from 0 to, I don't know, 40 something, with 0 being lossless or like the best quality and 40 being the worst quality. So I'm going to update my test broadcaster to include some of these parameters, and so we can start looking to see how it impacts transcoding on our machines. And what I'm interested in most is what we might think we need in additional metrics on the orchestrator and or broadcaster, either side.
What does it look like from the broadcaster side? So what can you choose now on the broadcaster side? I mean,
You
is
can
it
choose
now is
constant
slow that
quality. Like it's a way to right now I think he just uses bitrate to try to a target bitrate when he's trying to figure out the transcoding quality. But now you can do constant quality, which is in general a better transcoding quality. Overall, the
right,
bitrate can fluctuate.
but it just uses slow instead of medium or whatever it was using before.
I think so. I'll have to go check. Let me see if I can find that before we get done with this. But
and
that's an LPMS. It's not in Go-Livepeer, so
that's a non-adjustable
correct.
item. Got it.
As far as I understand, yes.
What do we think this might mean? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, it's all right. I had a little bit of delay there. We've been lucky so far that each segment more or less has the same settings. I think so it makes it easier on us as orchestrators to see, hey, why is this going slow? Is something wrong with my system? But as things keep progressing, more options. I mean, even the VOD stuff, we're not going to be able to just look at transcode time by itself anymore.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what do you think that might mean if it's 10% slower? How much of the transcoder pool will now not be in real time? Like, is it how close to the threshold? How many forks fall out now as a result of that? I'd be curious.
I think there'll still be plenty that are real time. I can try to look at some
Oh,
data.
I know
That's
I'm sure
remember.
they
I don't
will
think any
be.
of us. I would say, like off the top of my head, 80% is going to be at least still be real time. It's probably much higher than that. The ones that are
Okay.
slow are really slow. Like they're already not real time, or they're too far away. And so that's.
Has anyone here run a benchmark to see how many if there's a change in the? I'm assuming there is.
I'm not sure the benchmark is updated. I'd have to go look,
Ah.
but I didn't look at that. Me and Frank ran a test through my test broadcaster, and that's where he got 10%, I got 8% slower, so it's more or less the same.
And that also includes internet time, so that
Yeah,
may have
it's not a
yeah.
completely sanitized test environment, unfortunately.
Right. And is there a Docker version available right now, or is that hasn't been released yet, right? I mean, I know it's not released.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Thank you. I wanted to ask that.
Because I wanted to play
think so.
around
You'd
with
have
it.
to just make it make that Docker file yourself by checking out the latest code, I think.
I'll wait till someone else does that. I do want to give it a shot. I did try and get it to go on Windows just for the fun of it, and wasn't able to get that going. So I don't know if anyone else has tried that, but I didn't have luck with that.
Just as an aside,
are there any other Windows users out there?
Probably not.
I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's at least one person running a transcoder on Windows.
Chase is. And
oh, interesting.
Livepeer Academy as well.
Just volunteered himself to try to get it running on Windows then.
Yeah, I got I got a spare machine. Livepeer Academy is on Windows, and it's not even running 90% of the time. So I only do testing on it, so this will be perfect. So what do you want?
If you can get that working, let me know what you did. I tried a few things, couldn't get it going.
What are you trying to do?
Just run that new the new version of Livepeer.
Rafal posted it.
Oh, is it compiled yet?
He posted
it is for Windows. There is a link to Windows. I'm guessing no one's tested it.
It's in the
builds.
New Go-Livepeer thread under orchestrating.
Yeah. I can grab a link
under. Oh, I see. There's a thread.
Very top of it.
New Go-Livepeer. Oh, there it is. And he posted. Oh, I see. Okay, so he's already. Yeah. I didn't read through all this, so I'll have to. Feedback current master version.
Oh yeah, for pool runner or people running pools. This will be fun.
Well, I kind of thought maybe well pools are already insanely difficult, it seems. One thing that we could do though, could we not overclock our chips by 10% and back to normal?
I don't know if it's that linear.
What if we're already overclocked 10%? Then what do we do?
20%.
Well, then add some fuel and get that thing going, man. I don't know. Yeah, no one in my pool is overclocked. I think a couple people have manually overclocked theirs, but no, I haven't. I wonder if. But some people in my pool are getting some insanely fast times. They got the new 4080. And they got their local real-time ratio down to 0.04.
Damn.
That's and they're returning 4-segment, the full 720, 480, 320, all four segment profiles in for 2 seconds. They're returning 400 milliseconds back to my pool node. So some people are not gonna feel this at all. Right. Yeah, those 4080s are insane. I actually think as for the 40 series cards start proliferating the market and we start adopting them, like they're significantly faster than all the other
Oh.
generation encoders for NVIDIA.
Bear, were you saying the 4070 would actually be even better for efficiency?
I saw someone that did some just general transcoding comparisons, and it was clocked a little bit faster just because that's tends to be the way NVIDIA does their cards. They slow them down a little bit for the higher numbers, so they were getting slightly faster times. I mean, it was very close, but the 4070 was a little bit faster than the 4080 in his testing, and it was just like general like Premiere export kind of stuff across different formats.
I see.
Wasn't like a Livepeer specific test or anything like that. They also don't have as much VRAM, so you know that may or may not be an issue depending on what your source files are.
If there's a 10% hit, I don't think it's going to negatively affect the whole Livepeer ecosystem. I think it'll be fine. If there's something like a 50% or like 80% hit, I think that would be like concerning.
I'm surprised actually it's only 10% if they change the it from medium to slow and also added the different scale. I don't know what the scaling how much that would affect speed, but I'm surprised medium to slow is just 10%. I would have thought it would be
I
more.
mean, if people are using WebRTC, then it especially is probably not an issue at all. But I'm wondering if the change was like in some assumption that that's where live video is moving.
Like higher quality, you mean?
I just mean like kind of sacrificing some of the delay for higher quality in the assumption that the internet is moving towards WebRTC and away from HLS.
Right, because RTC is the mega upgrade that actually gets you that faster response, right? Like or real time video.
Right.
So,
And that's
like-
what like Twitch is using now.
Yeah, I used Twitch recently, and like it's fast. Like I was like you can chat with people, and it's like it's not like it used to be. So it is blazing fast. Like you can type to someone, and they'll respond within a second or two.
Yeah, especially you can really tell when they have their like video on or their chat window on the screen. It comes through really fast. I think that's also what TikTok is using as well now, because that shit is also very fast.
Yeah, and so either way, if you're saving 100 milliseconds on transcode time, but it's still in real time, then what does it matter, right? Better off having higher quality anyway. And so this upgrade, it's a permanent change into the Go-Livepeer configuration, so you can't change it on the fly. We're just going to be switching to this new setting in whatever it's called, the LPMS or something.
Yeah, it's not really configurable. The
Yeah.
quality factor is configurable by the request for transcoding, but the preset changing to slow is a fixed input or a fixed parameter, from what I can tell.
That would help with VOD a lot, wouldn't it? Because then VOD work is coming in, and it's trying to get the best quality out. Or is there even a setter slower than slow? Like, is there like a lossless or something?
Yeah, I think there's a setting slower that you could use. Can't remember all of them at the moment.
Right. Cool. Does anyone else have any concerns or comments about this upgrade, or are we in consensus that it probably will be fine?
Well, the two things that I mentioned, I wanted to make sure that, the performance thresholds take into account this slower, is there any, unwanted side effect from each request now being slower that might affect selection algorithm or something along those lines. I don't think anyone knows right now. And then the other part is, folks that are doing any testing, benchmark your GPU. I mean, I have GPUs in my Grafana dashboard, so if I start looking at same stream counts, I can look and see how much more memory is it using, how much more, how much of a load is it putting on with the decoders or encoders. Like, it'd be better to have some real numbers around what that looks like. And then the last part that I'll say is installing the driver and getting the GPU configured looks like it may be a little more complicated now than it was before, which is already a sticking point for a lot of transcoders. So just keep that in the back of your mind as well.
Yeah, and if people could like report what driver version and CUDA version they have, like I didn't uninstall my driver in CUDA to go down to the 11 version of CUDA. I just tried it on 12 and it worked. So
And did you have
I
to
would
install the SDK, or did you already have CUDA installed?
I did. I ran something. Now this worked for me, did not work for Elite, so it's got a 50-50 shot. I'll post it in the chat what I ran.
Does someone have the Windows version that they could link? I'm just looking at the builds, but is it the new selection algorithm branch, or is
Here,
it?
it's in the that sorry, it's in that thread, but I'll copy it and paste it into.
Yeah, if you could, because I looked through the thread, but I couldn't find a link to it.
And wait,
I think at the very top is where he posted it.
Yeah, I've got it. It's just taking me a second to navigate around it. Here you go.
Cool. Oh, there you go. I see. Build. Is that the window? That's Windows GPU AMD the tar file.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to. What's a GZ file? Then you have to untar it. So it's a gzip. So it's a double extract to get
double
it.
extract. Okay. So
yeah,
I think 7
zip will do it.
Yeah, I got 7-zip on this.
Yeah, you'll have to do it twice. You'll see.
Okay. Cool.
And then, but I think it may also require the equivalent of whatever the glib library that it says is required, but the Windows equivalent, which I thought I had on the machine I tried running it on, but I didn't actually go in and check, but I felt like I installed that in the past, so that may be part of it also. If you read the top part, it shows what the dependencies are, but again, it sounds like there may be some leeway there, because like Brad said, he got it to run with CUDA 12. I installed 11, didn't work. I tried 12, it didn't work, but I didn't install glib, like a new glib library. So.
Okay. Well, after this call, I might could give it a quick test. I just downloaded it, so.
Oh, and then also, sorry, I was going to look. There is a benchmark, at least that downloads with it. I don't know if that. I mean, isn't that just pass parameters onto the Livepeer that's on there? Actually, kind of directing this towards Brad or. But I don't see why would the benchmark need to be rewritten for this?
I don't know. I haven't looked at that code one bit.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, maybe I'll install it on the binaries. Give it a try. I was just curious to see how that all lined up compared to the previous versions.
Is the does the benchmark, is that updated to slow as well, or is that not?
That's what
that's what we were just asking.
Trying to figure out, and don't know. I would ask Rafal in that thread.
So I just unzipped it and tried it. It says the code execution cannot process because the NPPIC 6411 DIL was not found. Reinstalling the program might fix this problem.
Yeah, you got to install the CUDA SDK for that.
Oh, geez. Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Now there's if you go to the link that's in the top of that thread, you install that one, it's going to want to roll back your driver. If you try and install 12, version 12, then I don't think you need to roll back your driver, or maybe it will work with the current driver too. I didn't give it a whole lot of effort. I mean, I tried a couple times and I was like, all right, this isn't going well.
This binary requires CUDA drivers 11. If you have different CUDA, you may need to upgrade, downgrade them. CUDA driver is not your file. You may need to export.
There's a link right below that for to download the CUDA drivers, or you can just search on NVIDIA's site and hold the one you want to try.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do this later, and we'll struggle through it. Cool. Yeah. Well, I got a Windows machine to try this on, so it doesn't matter if there's uptime. So I'll double click some things and see if I get it to work.
Let us know, or let me know.
Cool. Right. Any other comments or changes to that update? I think it'll be tougher dealing with handing out this to pool soft. Oh, here's another question though: is if we don't update to the latest request, if we don't use the binary with this change, like will anything be detected saying you aren't? Like, can you just not run the current Livepeer version and do it on medium, and would the broadcaster even know? Like,
Good question.
This is a good question. I don't
you know,
know. I mean, in theory, it's gonna the broadcaster passes through what it wants to the orchestrator, and in the headers of the transcoding request. But what would happen if it didn't? It's not just the medium to slow; it's also the scaling and the quality parameter. But if those were, I don't know. Let's try.
because actually, what's to say that I can't change it to fast right now? Compile my own and say, hey, I'm doing the same work as everyone else, but really I'm not. I'm still getting paid the same.
I think that's possible right now, but I don't know for sure. I don't know of any checks that's trying to figure that out, though. If that makes sense.
Because from a pool standpoint, it's like, yeah, I could charge a lot less money, but I'll just change it to fast and hand that out, and a lot of people get it back fast. Maybe there'll be like a 10% faster. Not that really matters, but yeah, I just wonder to what degree this is even detectable. So yeah, if people just don't upgrade, they're just going to be sending back the old stuff for the same price. So don't know if that's a problem or not.
You would hope that as part of the broadcaster saying, hey, I have this job, are you available, with a ping request, that it should say, oh, you don't have this enabled, you're in an older version, send them the old request, not the new. Or don't even choose them, don't even choose them. Go to a different org.
That's a good point. There
Yeah,
is
similar
that,
to like
quality, capabilities checking.
capabilities check. Yeah. So, I mean, it would be similar, I would think, to your pixel price doesn't match what I'm looking for. Pass.
Yep. You don't qualify. See ya. You're out the list.
Right. But then we have to. But for that to come, but how would the broadcaster know? Like, you could say, hey, yes, I have it on slow. I have the highest stuff, but you just have it on fast, and how would it know?
Well, without fast verification and slashing and all turned on, there's really, it's a nod and a wink, right? Like nobody's checking.
Right. I have a feeling if we get to that problem on a mass scale, we probably have good problems. It's not.
I don't even know if fast verification will be able to pick that up, in all honesty.
Yeah, how would a fast verification even detect that level of granularity? I don't think it does it?
Well, what if it sends to, I thought they send out multiple requests for transcoding, and then they compare the results to see if they're within range. So if one is fast and the other is slow, the results going to come back are going to be inconclusive, meaning they couldn't be verified, which means the stream is probably been tampered with.
I mean, I don't know if it's. I mean, again, I don't know that it's that. If it can detect that, I think it's more of like this is completely different. But I'm not sure how sensitive.
Oh,
it is.
you mean it can't? It's not sensitive to the subtle quality differences, as long as the content itself is the same.
Yeah,
That's
it's not like,
interesting.
oh, I
Yeah,
sent
I
you
don't
in.
know.
I sent you in some kids programming, and here's porn back. I think they would pick up, but not necessarily like the quality difference.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of just theorizing.
From my understanding, that the fast and slow verification was just around the actual content and like obvious changes. But quality, I don't think it was like really that detectable based on the algorithm. Just yeah.
I just know encoding and decoding, when you go from very fast to slow or very slow, when you start going down that scale, you can look at your hardware and see the usage goes up at a far greater scale than that. So that's my fear, is that, 1070s or 1080s, or, maybe even some of the newer cards, their encoders might just fall off, like they can support one stream or two streams when this is coming in. You know what I mean? I don't know. And I think that's why Papa Bear is talking about benchmarking. But real world will tell you a lot. So Brad, if you can get your test streamer up and firing streams, and that'll go a long way to determining the system resource usage.
Yeah, it's gonna be sometime this week. I'm gonna give it a roll. Probably start tonight. Run into a roadblock, sleep on it, and try again
Solve it
try again the
tomorrow when
next
you get a
day.
fresh mind. Yes, sir.
Yeah,
The programmer's paradise right there.
yeah, because I think that'll be really. I really think that'll be really good to see how it all works. I mean, I have it running on my NY node right now. I haven't seen anything different, but then again, somebody's not sending in something with zero constant
Well,
quality, the max quality yet. And I'm gonna let the tester's gonna let you send in anything any parameter that's possible on that quality. So
here's
you'll be
something
able to see it.
anecdotal about quality as it relates to streams and quality today. So Papa and I have been testing this one for quite a while and looking at actual GPU usage, and we found that the 2080, I might mix this up, but either the decoder is always busy compared to the encoder, but then if you look at the 20 or the 1070 or the 1080, it's the opposite. And then that's with today's Livepeer workloads. Just seeing the 2080 encoder and decoder versus the 1070 encoder and decoder, the usage swaps, like the way it's busier. I mean, whatever hardware reasons, it's different, I'm sure, but I'd be curious to see, does it change that pattern at all,
But that's
or does
because
it make those spikes higher or lower?
That's because I think that the 1070 has two decoders and one encoder, whereas and then the 2080
That's part of it.
only has
I
one
think
and
the
one.
2080 also has. Yeah, I think the 2080 though has a different decoder than the. I'm going off memory here, but I think the 2080 has a newer decoder.
Oh, did it get the bump to like the next generation?
I believe so.
But it's stark though, and again, I said it was anecdotal, right? It was definitely the 2070 or the 2080 versus the 1080 to 1070. We would see, the two work patterns would be the opposite of each other, which was just kind of different. I'd be curious to see what does that look like now with this, slower or this higher quality request coming in.
I think you'll see it more on the encode side than the decode side. But yeah.
So one card is going to get taxed more, and the other one won't. That'd be interesting to see.
No, I think they'll both get hit equally, but I'm saying it'll be on the encode side, not the decode side. So I guess actually it would
both will go up 10%, but if the one that's heavily
The one that's
utilizing
already maxing out
encoding will
on the
get
encode side,
10% max.
it's gonna he feel it more. Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's a
I
good way to
see.
put it.
Yeah, yeah, it'll go slower. Basically, is what it'll do. If it's maxed now and you put an additional 10% tax, it's just going to take that much longer.
Yeah, so the 2080 has a 4th gen decoder in it, and the 10 series is a 3rd gen. Sorry, I'm talking about encoders right now. Or sorry, no, decoders. So the 20 series, it has a more efficient decoder on it. They both have a single decoder. And when it comes to the encoder, they are both running 7th gen. So same encoder, but the 10, 70, and 80 have 2. For anyone that was able to follow that, I mean, I don't know if I said that super clearly, but
deep in the weeds. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. Speaking of days where we're coming back to it after we're struggling, Brad, I wanted to wrap around. You weren't here, but I referenced the Livepeer Router as one of my first topics. Do we want to talk a little bit about the Livepeer Router? There's been some great developments. I've been using Brad's router and his total rewrite of the program, and it's working wonderfully. You want to explain a little bit, Brad, about how it works now and what you've built?
Yeah, I can give that a shot. Off the top of my head, try to stay higher level on it. Basically, the router, we rewrote it a few months ago. I mean, 6 months ago plus probably, to do a better job of trying to like latency route to different orchestrators that under your control, basically. And what it started out doing, we were using ping, but that had its own issues. Some couldn't make it all the way through, or some, there's just variations in ping. And the most recent update that Titan's talking about is I updated it to do geo routing with like a freely available database of IP addresses, and it's a lot faster doing it that way because it's just doing a local database call and a calculation of distance. And the other update that I've just implemented was caching the Git orchestrator, like the responses. So every minute it reaches out to your orchestrators and gets a response, the orchestrator info response, so that when a broadcaster hits the router, it sends that cached response. And it's a lot faster that way, including the
Brad,
speed up that we had with the moving the RPC call out of the Git orchestrator response. It basically becomes ping time at this point, honestly.
you didn't change the broadcaster, right? Like it's still sending the binary stream data to the orchestrator, and then the router is going to send that stream data to another orchestrator, and
So
then
it's the RPC call, the Git orchestrator RPC call that the broadcaster does. The router sits in between the broadcaster and the orchestrator, and helps determine which one to send it to. I mean, the easiest scenario to think about is, say I had 3 orchestrators in California, one at the top, one at the bottom, one in the middle, right? And the broadcaster hits the router. There'd be one router for those 3. And the broadcaster would hit the router because the router's hooked up to the service URI that's on chain. And then it would decide which one to route that, to send that Git orchestrator request to, and which one to send the orchestrator info response back from. And then after that handoff is done, the broadcaster would just work with the orchestrator nodes.
The regional one it was chosen. It's basically like a traffic cop.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, cool. That was helpful. I wasn't quite sure what it actually did, but that makes it clear in my head now. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, so you can get rid of like your Cloudflare or Amazon geolocation if you're running that.
In
right?
theory, it'll at least make it a lot easier. You're probably still going to want some
today
kind
it's
of
not
help
possible.
to do like by country geo routing, right? And I mean, what Titan's problem was, he was having a problem with Route 53. it was hitting Europe or New York or LA. It was just hitting all over the place based on latency routing.
Yeah, Route
And
53 is a complete garbage. I'm having such like because I've spun up 4 extra nodes, and so like Sydney, Australia, or sorry, Melbourne, Australia should be latency routing to Sydney. Like they're literally like it's the same country, same continent, like couple 100 kilometers apart. Like, but yet Route 53 is sending it to Frankfurt, and it's like what? And like
To you, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, it was happening all over the place. Like just like New York kept get sent to LA all the time. London was going to Frankfurt, but Frankfurt was still going to Frankfurt. Like it was like I don't know. Route 53 latency rule just like is not working for me like at all. It's just all messed up. So
I thought to use latency rules on Amazon or for AWS, you have to use their network for your endpoints. Is that not the case?
No, if you're using your own endpoints, it will take a guess, and this guessing is bad. So I'm like, you know what? This is, and so what's happening is like, it's so because otherwise they have the geo routing, which is like based on country and stuff, but I can't make it granular enough to like. I want it actually distance, like not by country. Like I don't, because like say, there's a lot of countries where you can't like the United States is easy because you can like divide them up into states, and so you can kind of use your finger to draw a line and say, okay, the Midwest is here, and so all these states should go to this side. And but like in Canada, Canada's just one place, and it's like
just Canada.
Yeah, it's just Canada, and it's like okay, anyone in Canada hits Toronto, and it's like yeah, but the west coast of Canada should be hitting LA, and it's like okay, so the geo mapping is too rigid, right? So that wasn't working, and then the latency routing was not working. And now that I have 11 nodes, like I'm trying to deal with Mumbai and Johannesburg, and so finally Brad found a database of like I don't even know how he found this, like of all the IPs and their Latin longs. And so right in the router, it actually searches the actual distance of every router and returns the closest one. So
it's got background updating, so it's like a little. It definitely got a cold start. When it cold starts, it's a little bit slower, but then after a little while,
like literally
it
1 minute in,
caches everything. Yeah.
It is slick. It works really well. So now, if anyone on Earth pings any one of the routers, not only will it get the correct response, it'll get a fast response.
So it's using a proximity logic, basically.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. You can use either. You can use basic ICMP pings, but some networks kind of block that. Or you can use the geo routing on it. Either one. The geo routing's fast and how fast it calculates, and like Titan's a great test for this because yes, he has nodes everywhere and does not over provision hardware. So he's actually a pretty good test for this. But like,
how did you get around the issues with the auth token? Like when the orchestrator comes online,
I'm capturing the get orchestrator request because it's very simple. It's basically just there's a message of like the ETH address in the broadcaster's signature over that. So I'm capturing that, and you can send that out over and over and over again. There's no timestamp, nothing unique about it.
I see. You're intercepting all of the ping requests from all of the real orgs. The router is, and then whenever you need to stand in between, you just send the same auth token back again.
Yeah, I think you got it, but I'm going to change some terms. So it's intercepting the broadcaster's get orchestrator request. It caches that, and then it uses that get orchestrator request every minute to send. It sends that out to every orchestrator you have hooked up to this thing, and caches that response. So it updates every minute.
I see.
then when the broadcaster actually hits your router, it does not call out to the orchestrator as long as it has a info response cached. It just forwards that last
Oh,
info. So that's how we got around the auth token, because the auth token expires in 30 minutes. So it gives you 29 minutes at worst. But I think we've had that 27-minute issue. And I think that's when it starts trying to update or trying to figure out to get a new
Yeah,
token.
it tries to update 10 when there's 10% of the time, so that would be 30 minus
A
3,
1
which is
minute
27.
should be enough. Like, got 200% or 2 minutes of leeway there. So updating that every minute should work. And then
So
it doesn't keep
does it,
historical. It just replaces. It just caches the last response that it got.
so it handles the tokens and the get orchestrator request. Each one, it
Yeah, it
handles
just
both of
caches
those.
the entire orchestrator info response, which includes, like, if you use my tester,
Okay.
you know how when you send the get orchestrator request on it,
Yeah.
a new auth token comes back every time, right? So that
Okay.
the
So
orchestrator
when it
sends you a new one
I
every
get it
time.
now. Yeah, I got it now. Okay.
So I just
So
put in
that's part of it.
an example, just like a photo of what one get orchestrator request looks like. And so you can see that the first line, it says get orchestrator request received, and then it determines the distance of all the O's, and then selects the nearest one. And it does it. So this one returned in 4.8 milliseconds. Right.
So what I don't get, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That's okay.
And when it's cached, when everything's cached, it returns in microseconds.
Not on
It's
my
pretty
nodes.
wild. Well, mine does.
Yeah.
I don't have one core.
I have single core,
2 to
so
4.
it.
I have
I
2 to
don't have
4.
one core. What I don't get is, so why can't this be used then instead of something else for geolocate, like Cloudflare or Amazon?
This can completely eliminate Cloudflare or Amazon.
Brad, didn't you say you can't use this for that? Or
I
misunderstood.
You can. It's just based on risk profile. Like if you want to just
Oh yeah, I
have
see
an
what- yeah,
anycast DNS, or you want your DNS to just shoot them all around the world and it respond back in time. I mean, in theory, this should be able to do it. If ping time around the world is like under 200 milliseconds, you should be able to use this.
the only reason we double up on it is because if Singapore keeps asking New York for get orc requests, like the stability of that ping just to get the information just might not be great. Like it's just really far.
I guess I'll get the next question is that I don't understand. So how do you use them together? I don't understand. That's maybe the missing part. I'm not.
They crosstalk. You would set up one router as the background update one, and then they use RPC to gRPC to crosstalk and update each other on which one is the closest one. I mean, in theory, hopefully your California one is not getting things from Singapore or Europe. But if it does have the data to respond correctly, each of the router nodes.
I'm just going to believe you. I don't totally understand, but I don't need to. Sorry.
It
In
just
like if you look at Titan's thing, it says router updated at the bottom. So like the orchestrator request came in, it says sending closest orchestrator, then it says updating. That's a background thread of it saying, I'm gonna go tell all the other ones that this is the orchestrator send to that IP address.
yeah, it just means you just put the router on top in front of the O on the same machine on each one. And then what happens is if any one of those get hit, it'll just respond with the nearest orchestrator no matter what. And so, yeah, it just makes it so you if for some reason I just haven't had any good luck with Route 53. Like only the geolocating one where I knew where Livepeer ingest nodes worked really well. Otherwise, like when Xenon would ping me, it would only like end up in New York because I didn't know where their ingest nodes were, so I couldn't provision like where I should draw these arbitrary geographic lines. And so I tried the latency routing, but it just doesn't work at all. So What it does now is you could, as long as you just hit the router and the router responds which one to which orc node to go to, no matter what.
Okay, I think I got it now. How you use the two together. Thank you.
Titan could also, like, you could just set up 3 or 4 other VPSs around the globe, and that would just run the router. And then have no DNS settings, and it would just, at that point, it just kind of like does exactly what it's doing now, right? Titan just sends it somewhere.
Yeah, like
And
you don't even
they
need
would
to
respond with the right one.
You actually only need one router, and have it just point to the router, right? Because it's looking up the distance.
I mean, technically yes, but I would at least have 2, so you half the distance around the globe, right?
I
It
mean,
depends on what you're trying to serve.
like
If you
Singapore,
have,
for whatever reason, Singapore just keeps pinging LA like really far, but like it's still getting back within 220 milliseconds. So like that's well within the cutoff.
yeah,
So like you can just have one router, and that would just fix. Like put it this way, in my experience, one router is better than using any of these these DNS routing settings. Like the router works phenomenally perfect. Like it's really really good. It's not finished yet. I'm sure there's bugs, and Brad will keep working on it. But like in its current form, it's working exceptionally well.
Got it.
I've been using it for a while. I have DNS kind of set up, but since I'm writing this thing, I like to test it as well.
Yeah.
So I've been using it a while, and Titan just switched back to it. Like I said, Titan's a very good test case. Got nodes everywhere with sometimes, as he said, bad routing beforehand. So I'm happy he's testing it. I'm happy it's working too.
Yeah. So anyway, big shout out to Brad for putting in the effort to actually make the router do something, because that's been in our binaries for years, and in its current form, I don't think it actually does anything.
Yeah,
Hats
no,
off
I
to you,
remember
bro.
when I first noticed it was there, and I asked about it, and they were like, "Yeah, you can try it, but there's no documentation on it, and good luck." I was
I
like, "All
think
right, well,
in its current form, I think it was put up there as a form of like adding redundancy. So you could you could put up the router, put up 2 orchestrators in the same region, right? And it would just, it stands in the middle just like this one does that I rewrote, and it would send the get orchestrator request out to those 2 orchestrators, and whichever one got back first, it would pass on back.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, the problem I found is, and this is what I was trying to do with Kubernetes, was if I had in a single region, let's say I had 2 orc instances running, and I wanted to like say I never wanted to miss a stream. So if I had a stream running on node A versus node B in the New York region, if node A went offline and was taking streams, I wanted the Kubernetes to just redirect traffic to node B. And every time I did my testing, it would throw auth errors where the auths wouldn't work. So the router would solve that problem, it sounds like, where the router is dealing the auth with the broadcaster, and then it just sends the request to whatever O is up in that region. So that would work for my use case.
Do you use the same Ethereum address on all the Kubernetes nodes, orchestrator nodes? Like the
They
local,
were running their like dummy ETH accounts.
but it
They were
wasn't the
not
same
using the
dummy
org.
account, or were they all separate?
Yeah, they were the same.
Hmm. Yeah, it's an auth token thing. It's been a while since I've looked at that. I would have thought
Like
if it was
literally,
the
if you would
same dummy
switch
account, it would
streams,
work. But
it didn't. They were the same dummy accounts. If you would switch streams from the orc that was running it to the other one, each orc, when it starts up for whatever reason, generates like some unique auth token, and they're not the same, and they can't be shared. So if you get a different auth token, you basically lose your streams. And I could never figure it out. So I just run a single node in a single region now.
yeah, I'll put it on the list to look back at that again. I think I never really went that far because I got confused too. But I'll try to look at it again because it is kind
Well,
of
I mean, if you
frustrating
see
that
it
you
in your
can't
travels,
you
that's
can't
good.
pass them back and forth because that's like the ultimate redundancy, and that's all we're all trying to do.
Exactly. If I could go in and load balance between 3 orcs and then just send a stream segment to any one of them and still it would work, that would be ideal because then you would never have downtime. You could
And you're
always
using the
manage.
same secret, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I figured you were, but I thought I'd just clarify. Interesting.
Anyway, that's food for thought. I'll be curious to see what you find in your travels.
Very good.
Total side note: there seems to be a huge spike in streams on the network right now across all the dashboards. I was just scrolling through. I don't know if they're doing some testing or maybe that new
Maybe they went live.
marquee customers come online, but I'm seeing pretty much across the board, everyone's got a lot of streams right now.
Yeah, I'm
Holy
sitting
shit,
at
I'm
3.
17 right now.
I think he just gave you a segue, his new marquee customer topic.
Yeah, well, let's hop into it.
Quick,
Papa Bear,
so
who's
someone
our marquee customer?
I don't know if someone's got to pop open FTK's tool and peek at the stream and see what's coming in. Yeah, I have no idea. I just saw forgot who someone posted. I think something about it. That Eric had posted about it on Twitter or X, and clicked the link, saw that, but didn't see who it was. Or I was just wondering, is it a top secret customer or it's a marquee customer? I wonder why they can't announce it, who it is.
Yeah, I think Livepeer Studio
Kind of a tease.
keeps
Kind of a
their
tease.
keeps their keeps their cards close to them in some areas, and understandably why, because if they're a front-facing application, there's a private company, it would be weird just to like tell people who your customers are without their consent in a way, especially if they cared about that.
Oh no, I mean I can understand that. But then I also kind of wonder to make a post to say you have a marquee customer, but to not mention it's almost then maybe you shouldn't have mentioned it, or
Maybe
I mean I guess
maybe it's a tease. Maybe it's just like he's teasing us because he knows he's gonna be able to release it, but like it hasn't fully closed yet.
I mean either way I'm happy about it. But yeah, I'd like to know who it is, but I understand uh, a company not wanting to share that. But it definitely feels like a bit of a tease if you're going to just say you closed a marquee customer and then not mention who it is. I mean, it
Sounds
almost
like a
like I feel
marketing
like
slow drip. He's gonna drip it out later. He's just trying to generate some hype or something.
maybe.
Can I slightly hijack this?
Go for it. I'm
Hijack
done.
away.
Yeah, I'm done. Go.
Like this is so when you're dealing with like companies, they're gonna want SLAs, they're gonna want contracts, they're gonna want people to, you know, be on the line for getting their work done, right? Us Web3 native people, we just tinker around. We're fine to use these networks, but I mean, part of like my end goal of the tests that I'm doing and the data that I'm trying to like, I'm not collecting right now, but in the end collect is provide that data out there to show that the network works, right? Because there's not always going to be, in theory, Livepeer Inc. to negotiate a contract with. I don't know if that ends up being a DAO in the future, or if it ends up just like having data showing, hey, this works, look at it, it's transcoding real time, that people are getting their work done. There's very little downtime, there's very little slow transcoding, all that stuff. And this signing on a new customer, I mean, it's great. And it's through Livepeer Inc. because they have the people and the management team and all that in place to sign a contract, you know?
Yeah. So Livepeer Innovators DAO is going to start negotiating contracts. Is that what you're saying?
Let's do it.
I don't know. I don't know, but like,
Quick.
I guess my question is, I kind of went on a rant, but like, what do broadcasters need?
Look at Ad Astra's dashboard and just like make a landing page just on
What
that.
what do they need? Do they need to see that it's fast, that it's always up? I mean, all these things that they need to see that, but like, what else? You know,
Depends whether you're
I
targeting
don't know.
Web 2 or Web 3, I think. What do you
Zach
think?
might be able to shed some light on that, but I don't want to put him on the spot. Because I don't think any of us have really been in the broadcaster shoes, you know,
Yeah.
that much.
So, as a broadcaster, and I'm not running a broadcast note, to be clear. I'm a finance professional who works for a company that broadcasts in various places. But most of what we broadcast is not like CCTV, like it's entertainment, which means we're a rapper. As a broadcaster, we rap. And that means that everything that we put through our wrapper, we need to be able to identify some kind of metric for allocating revenues against the properties that are being wrapped. This is essential. So that's kind of a complicated answer. I could break it down a couple different ways, but many, many different ways maybe. But basically, we need statistics about what is being consumed that allows us to identify activity against a skew, essentially, in our IP inventory.
So how each stream is doing, like how many views, that stuff.
We want to know qualitative metrics as well, though. We need to know qualities about the user base, what communities they were coming from, telemetry like what link referrals are leading them to that particular broadcast as opposed to others, when views are peaking versus our advertising spend, and the timing on those broadcasts, which are also broadcasts, right? So yeah, I mean, this is the kind of regular metrics that I'm trying to resolve for costing, for royalty workflows, for profitability on an IP package or portfolio, all of those things.
That's an interesting point. Like, does Livepeer track how many viewers each stream has?
Here's the other thing. That information, if I have it about a competitor, is insanely valuable. And if I'm in a studio production pipeline as well, it helps me price future IP versus projected impact on demographic groups, right? So it helps me decide what IP I want to purchase based on what my current user habits are.
Yeah, I
That's
believe
the kind of information that gets provided today through mostly social networking platforms, but the problem there is the creators don't know. Because as soon as I make my actions public, there are another bunch of creators who are working to observe what that action is so that they can replicate it for cheap. And the social networks both participate in that process and facilitate it for other users. So in that sense, I need a certain degree of exclusivity or privacy or control over access to my media stream. At the same time as being able to capture those kinds of metrics and keep other groups from being able to capture them.
right.
Yeah.
Wouldn't those be taken at the platform level though? Like not through the actual stream itself, but how like the medium in which people are accessing it?
Well, if the protocol can provide inherently based off of the rails that it's connecting to opt-ins to pass this data along, then we can free creators from being trapped in a particular platform.
It's very that definitely makes sense. The only because I know Livepeer Inc. does that, but so one of the metrics that Livepeer Inc. provides is viewer per stream, but that is just because they use like Amazon for their CDN, so they can just calculate like because the orchestrators themselves can't actually see how many viewers because we just hand it off to some sort of endpoint, and from there they distribute it how they want. So we're hands off. So, but if we could provide metrics like using Streamer, like Mike was saying, metrics around what we could provide, like costs associated, bit rates, amount of work being done, reliability. If we could provide that through Streamer and then sell our data to anyone who wants to pay for that data, I think that would be hugely valuable.
How do you manage like actual payments though, right? So we talked a little bit about, well, we've got entity and people want to contract, but Web3 natives know better. Right? We just want to be able to set up a connection somewhere we can pass the communications in a way that's secure. So, I mean, ultimately, that's about pooling risk, right? So really, that's about like pure pooling of some kind of token. But if you create this pool via some kind of oracle or something, then you can also connect people that are both above in the stream and below in the stream of the communication flow in the network, right? Because we've got the end users, we've got the broadcasters, we've got the orchestrators, we've got the transcoders, right? But we also have the producers who essentially are just putting the information available on the network in some storage that has some guaranteed availability of storage, right? To the orchestrator, broadcaster, and transcoder, right? So that's the upstream. And from there, we can actually use attribution graphs in the media if we have composable signatures to input things like the grips and the actors and the writers and all those things too.
Yeah.
But we close that loop by, and this is a hard part, we have to set it up so that the actual broadcaster is broadcasting to some kind of viewer, player, thing, receptive device, right? When it gets it, that viewer has to send some message back to an oracle that says, hey, I'm a compliant device that received this signal, and I did receive it.
Again, that's more on
that
this.
information will be passed along with the payment pathway for authorization or access to the media stream.
Do you have an echo or something going on, like an effect, or is that just?
I may have an echo. I didn't intend to jump in here, but
There's 4 of him, from what I
Yeah,
hear.
it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. It's a little hard to follow,
or
but
me. Actually, there's 2 of me. I'm a Gemini, and I'm on the cusp, so maybe 4. I'm like a bull in a china kind of.
Fair enough.
Cataract means goes both ways.
Well, speaking of end users and adoption of the network, I've been messing around with Natter's boilerplate for lens lens applications. So you can just like have a lens application. You can start building a lens application, and he's already got the lens stuff built in, right? Connect with wallet, connect into your lens account, view publications, like just some basic stuff. And so I tried to mess around to just add live streaming onto it, just to like copy paste, but I don't know React at all, so I had some trouble doing that. But yeah, I was trying to figure out like how to get a lens streaming app up and built using Livepeer. And yeah, I'm not a React person. I don't know if I have the time or want to learn React. So
I got a React guy, but I kind of owe him $2,000 and he's looking for work.
well, tell him to DM me. I'll hire him to build this app because I think this would be a
I'll do
really
that.
killer app. I'm just trying to think of like also some primitives around something like this where like I'll get you guys' feedback. What if the streamer actually paid to stream? And now hear me out. No one wants to pay for streaming, of course. Everyone wants to do it for free and then earn money. But what happens is if you pay the transcoding and the CDN and the storage costs as a streamer, then you can also like stream. Then people can embed the stream into, different platforms, different lens applications, different whatever, and you're not dealing with getting application trapped, because they won't let you do that, because it's a cost to them without them being on their platform. So you're like truly streaming into the Web3 world, which is like the streamer is the one paying, and in doing so, they will figure out how to monetize their stream through, like, video NFTs or donations, or however they want. Yeah. So does anyone else have any feedback or criticism on that idea?
Sorry for the echo again. I think my main concern about Lens is to what degree are those like outputs, the association graphs and that sort of thing, publicly observable? Because again, arbitrage is everything when I consider platform.
Right. Yeah. Well, Lens is just the social platform, so the infrastructure behind the video itself, I mean, that's somewhat our job. So I don't think Lens would handle that at all. That would be totally us. But anyway, if anyone has any experience with React, I'd like to mess around with this, or has any tutorials on React, that would be nice. I don't know. I asked ChatGPT, and it's like trying to teach me.
I had some thoughts on, users streaming directly into the Livepeer network, because this is an idea I've had for a while too. You were talking about WebRTC a lot earlier, and I realized that that's probably the number one thing for, if you're developing an application that streams from the browser, you might need that. I was looking at some solutions in the market like Wowza Media Server and others that would, all they do is they take WebRTC ingest and package it as HLS. And I was thinking about if the Livepeer network could do that, if orchestrators could receive WebRTC directly, and there'd be some kind of browser framework that could do that, and then potentially even host it. If the Livepeer orchestrators could host to like we were doing with Swarm or S3, and push that out. So that's sort of a different architectural idea, but you also have the Livepeer in a box concept, which is really just studio. So if it's a streamer's, good enough, they could set up a full Livepeer in a box setup and have their own streaming that way. It's not really in the browser, but it's compatible with RTMP. So those are like two different models I see working out, whereas there's not a singular streaming website involved, and it allows the user to pay for the streaming. I think we need to work out like the different ways of, charging for more than just transcoding. If we think of a service like WebRTC to HLS, we're probably going to have to encode the audio, but not the video. But we could, probably charge a premium for just doing that work. And, like I think Wowza has like a media license charge or something. But that would be something to think about building into the Livepeer network, as well as like the JavaScript framework for adding that to a web page.
Do you know if Mist supports that natively?
Yeah, it does, as far as the Catalyst suite total, in total. I believe they already have that, and there's documentation up on livepeer.org for that. They'll take WebRTC ingest. So that use case is probably a reality with the current Catalyst system, if you can make it easy enough to consume.
Like I said, I owe the React guy about $2,000, but yep.
You fixed the echo. Good work.
Nice. Right on. Well, we've come
Proud
to
of you.
No, I mean that path is totally, and with Mist server.
Right on. Cool. Well, I mean, we've covered most of the topics. At least we've covered them all. Do we have any more topics we'd like to cover before we sign off?
Nothing on my end.
Cool. Yeah. So, yeah, this new upgrade with the slower transcode time, I'm gonna try it on this Windows box and see if I can get it working. Otherwise, that seems like a bit of a hurdle. I like the ease of use. It has always been to just install the driver and have it go. Um, Installing a driver on like Linux is already difficult, so I feel like you're adding more complexity, something that's pretty hard. So hopefully, you know, the juice is worth the squeeze when it comes to making it much harder for orchestrators and transcoders, and hopefully the value of having higher quality video will be worth it. I think it will be, because we need to be competitive on high quality video, so it's just like always better to have better quality. But yeah, so we'll see how this upgrade goes, and excited to see things progress.
Yeah, I think the main reason for the needing the SDK toolkit is for the scaling, not even so much for the encoding. So I actually would be kind of curious to know what the like how much difference does it make in quality? Because I know that changing the quality from medium to slow is going to have a probably, I would assume that's a bigger effect than the scaling. But I would be curious to see if there's any testing done with any kind of tools that measure that kind of stuff, which I know some people, I know that not everyone takes full, gives those tools a lot of credibility, but I'd still be curious just to know, like, does it have a noticeable change, or visually even? I'd like to see the comparison between the two, which if I can get it running on something, I'll try and post something, but I am curious.
Right on. Cool. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and end it there. Thanks everyone for coming, and appreciate your efforts and joining us for this weekly water cooler chat, and making the Livepeer network more robust and the world's open video infrastructure. So, thanks again, and we'll see you all next week. Cheers.
Peace.